What up, gang? Carolina Jackpot Time coming at you on Saturday morning. I hope everybody's doing good today. Pretty cold this morning in the upstate of South Carolina, and headed out to do what I call a country run today. Got to do some small stop convenience stores on my route that kind of get pushed off to the side during the week when got other stuff to do and take care of, bigger stores to be in. I like to try to hit them during the week, to be honest with you, so I don't have to go out and do this. But, because it's been a slow week, we haven't really had anything great on sale to take up our time. It's just it's a long drive home in the afternoons. And I like to try to get done at a certain time so that I can try to get home at a certain time. Because, I mean, I ain't all about getting home at 7, 8 o'clock at night and having to get in the sack and get back up at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, I got to get home and spend some time decompressing at the house. I'm not really decompressing, just resting up. This is not, things are not pressure filled with this job. Nobody's breathing down your neck. Nobody's really checking up on you, to be honest. You have to be self-motivated to do this kind of work. If you're not self-motivated, you're not going to be successful. You have to be disciplined. And sometimes you have to adult when you don't want to adult. You got to go out and work sometimes. Like last week, I missed a lot of the ball games on New Year's Day with the Arizona State, Texas, and then a good portion of Ohio State, Oregon I missed. I was able to get some of that on TV when I got home. I mean, I have YouTube TV on my phone, but really not ideal to be watching that while you're trying to get work done. So, it takes away from some of what you want to do. I had to finish up early on New Year's Eve so I could do the South Carolina Illinois game, and so I wasn't missing that. These other ones, you know, I didn't want to miss them, but if I had to sacrifice one for the other, it's definitely sacrificing those in favor of the Gamecocks. But I have had a couple of commenters ask me what my thoughts were on the Sugar Bowl. So I'll give you my thoughts on it. I know it's a couple of days late and everybody's already talked this to death, but one thing I want to say, shout out to former Gamecock Mitch Jeter. Now, he's a graduate student. He hit the transfer portal, go to Notre Dame. I didn't know he was a graduate student at the time when he left. So that softens the blow a little bit. A lot of these guys leave their schools as graduates. Sam Hartman left Wake Forest, 2 years ago, as a graduate student. Doesn't mean they're really shitting on the school that they graduated from, or where they played their 4 years. It's just a thing. I get it, right? Now, he hadn't had the best of years. Mitch Jeter hasn't. He's missed a few field goals there that were probably makeable. From what I understand, he's been somewhat injured. So it was nice to see he had a good day for Notre Dame there. He kicked 3 field goals in that game. One was over 50 yards, if I'm not mistaken, in that 23-10 victory over the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, I'm going to say this: a lot of the Georgia fans obviously upset, and I get that. But you got to think here. I mean, they didn't play good. They didn't play good by any stretch of the imagination. But you got to think that, I mean, a couple key plays there. The end of the first half, Gunnar Stockton gets sacked, fumbles the ball. Notre Dame goes right in and scores. Then they take the second half kickoff back for a touchdown. There's 14 points right there. Take away those 14 points, I mean, Georgia ahead 10-9. I mean, I know that's just, hypotheticals, and just throwing it out there. I mean, Notre Dame might have scored some other way, but some mistakes there, some breakdowns from Georgia that ended up costing them in that game. I don't think Gunnar Stockton played a bad game for Georgia. I don't think he was their issue. I think them protecting him was a huge issue. I don't know who their left tackle sucks. I can't remember what his name was off the top of my head, but not good. They didn't protect him well, and Notre Dame, quite frankly, in the fourth quarter, just looked like they wanted that game more. They won that game. I remember the game was still. It was 23-10. Georgia had the ball, but it looked like they were fixing to have to turn it over again. And I don't know. There's still a couple of minutes left, and there was a couple of Georgia players on the sideline hugging and consoling each other. And I'm like, man, y'all still could potentially score a touchdown and kick an onside kick. It ain't over yet. It ain't time to give up. I mean, Notre Dame's not in the victory formation yet, bruh. So I don't know why they're doing that, but so I mean, I don't think this version of the Georgia team is as strong as the ones that won the national championship. Obviously, that ran away with it. They've got to find a big time wide receiver. A couple of big-time wide receivers. Just trying to piece things together with white dudes and backups and walk-ons, and it just seems strange to me for a program like Georgia. I mean, why would you'd think you'd have two high four stars, and then a 5-star on the outside, lining up on every play, but that ain't what they got. I know they got a couple of them that they wanted to be that. They ended up getting in some trouble there, so they need to fix that culture too. I mean, that's really hurting them. I think it's detrimental to the program. So I mean, I took no joy in seeing them get that ass beat. Other than, I'd be remiss if I didn't say it, that a little bit of a boyish grin kind of crossed that face when Gunnar Stockton got sacked and fumbled that ball away. But he was committed to South Carolina at one point. It was coming out of 2020, I think, going into 2021. I don't know how long. What, about 4 or 5 months there was committed to South Carolina, I think, out of Rabun County High School in northeast Georgia. I remember we used to take a lot of day trips when I was with Roses and I was off every Sunday. We used to take a lot of day trips to different places. We'd go to Asheville, we'd go here or there, we'd go in that part of Georgia too. We would ride over there. It was all places that were within driving distance of the house, obviously. And I remember going by the Rabun County High School, which I'd never seen it before. Which is it's on the big busy 441 that goes out of Clayton, Georgia, headed towards wherever the fuck, I don't know, Commerce, I don't know. And I saw this high school up there, and I'm like, hey, I told my wife, I said that's the school where Gunnar Stockton plays. That's who he plays for. That's the kid that's coming to South Carolina. So we rode up there, and of course there's nobody there. It's on Sunday, and this was like, I don't know. I don't even know what month this was. It may have been over the summer. It was during COVID times. This I do remember. So we went up there and walked around, and it was really nice. Small school stadium. But then, of course, he decommitted from South Carolina when Mike Bobo ran away. And decided to go to Auburn, and he lied to Shane Beamer's face, is basically what he did. Shane Beamer goes looking for this guy to come to work the next day, and he's gone. So Shane Beamer had to go out and find an offensive coordinator, which ended up being Marcus Satterfield, and we all know how that ended up. So, yeah, I took a little bit of pleasure in seeing that, but whatever. I mean, if he's there, if he's playing for South Carolina, then there ain't no Lenora Sellers. And I'm not down on Lenora Sellers after the Citrus Bowl game. Not in the slightest. If anything, I'm higher on him now than I was before that game. Because he's going to come out with a point to prove when we take the field against Virginia Tech. What is that, September 2nd, September 1st of this year in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Mercedes. That's going to be the theme coming up to that game. The Chick-fil-A kickoff game. Mercedes, my Mercedes. Do you want to play in my Mercedes Dome? Tell me what you gonna do. We gonna beat that ass Virginia Tech. Yeah, speaking of Virginia Tech, what I saw from them last night, not impressive at all. South Carolina will beat that ass if that's the kind of team they put on the field against us in August. So you can take that to the damn bank. That coach they got, what's going on with that? He's not the prototypical type coach, that Brent Pry. I mean, he's got a gravelly voice, and I don't know, maybe he's just old school. I don't know, but he seems like more like somebody you'd be sitting on the couch drinking beer with, watching football, than a coach. That was just my takeaway from that. He might be able to motivate them players up. I don't know. He didn't do it last night. That was piss poor. Speaking of piss poor, Duke and Ole Miss. That game went about the way that I thought it would. Jackson Dart and Ole Miss just absolutely bludgeoned an undermanned Duke team. But I mean, done had two quarterbacks hit the transfer portal. Running back, I think, hit the transfer portal. They just totally outmatched. And then there was the touchdown pass to make it 7-0, caught by my favorite football player in the whole wide world, Juice Wells. Antoine catches one on kind of a slant route and takes it to the house for about 50 yards. And then he did a celebration after his catching that touchdown where he feigned getting held back by his teammates. And everybody's saying he was mocking Shane Beamer. Maybe he was. I don't know. That, to me, you know how much I hate the term rent-free. Rent-free. Well, you want to talk about rent-free. That's rent-free. I mean, that is just, if that's what is on his mind right now, if that's what's on his mind right now in terms of his future, preparing for the draft, I mean, he's going to get drafted. He'll get picked up. Winning that game, if Shane Beamer is what's on your mind, just what a clown. That guy's weird. I mean, he's really just weird. And this is all after he had a less productive year than he did at South Carolina. And you can say, well, look at all the wide receiver talent Ole Miss got. They can spread the ball around. With South Carolina, he was wide receiver one because Xavier Leggett hadn't burst on the scene yet. Well, Ole Miss wide receiver one, Trey Harris, he was down for 75% of the year. So that guy could have stepped up a little bit more. He had toted one in for a 60-yard touchdown against the Gamecocks. But he got the ball punched out. So, he fumbled through the back of the end zone. How in the world that is credited as a 60 yards or 60 receiving yards for him is beyond me. I guess it's because it's yards after catch, and then I guess you're just credited with a fumble, and then you're credited with receiving yards. Whatever. It doesn't matter. He didn't score against us, so. But that was the only goal. Don't let him score. Don't let, we got to shut him down, blah, blah. They forgot about the other fucking 84 people on the team. They forgot about the other 84 people on scholarship. Man, that was bad. That was the one game that South Carolina just woefully underperformed. They woefully underperformed on Tuesday too. Truth be known, the guy got it right. I made a comment on a video that some young man called the Gridiron Expert put out about South Carolina versus Illinois. I made it like 2 weeks ago that I think Illinois will probably cover the spread here because I think it's rather large, but we're more talented on both sides of the ball, and I don't see any way we lose this game. And I didn't. So somebody makes a comment, well, you just saw right there how an undersized defensive line for Illinois controls the game and takes care of the mobile quarterback. I'm like, no, they did. Great. Congratulations. And that credit to Illinois for that. They learned something since the game against Purdue. Because in the game against Purdue, a running quarterback absolutely exploded their buttholes orange and blue on national television to the 14 people that were watching the Big Ten Network that day. Just absolutely crushed them. So, good on them, I guess. They learned how to stop that. And then made it a conference thing. Of course, they got to throw in, I guess the SEC isn't so big and mighty after all. People that make those comments to me are just so, they're small-minded. Look, I will make comments about your conference. I talk about Clemson and their schedule all the time. The ACC sucks. It does. It's weak. It sucks. It has Clemson in it, who I feel like is a pretty strong team. I feel like Miami is a pretty strong team most of the time. They have the ability to be anyway. They have the ability to get the talent there. You know, outside of those two, you know, you have Florida State still. Florida State's still dangerous. I mean, they have the ability to bring talent in. Who the hell knows what's going to happen with it? They could have a 10-2 year. They could have another 2-10 year. Just living in the portal, living in the transfer portal. And then, though I saw, hell, they recruited after getting a commitment from four-star Donovan Murph out of Irmo, South Kakalaki, day before yesterday. South Carolina was behind them still in recruiting. How the fuck? How? After they had all these decommitments? How? I don't know if they're counting transfer portal people towards their ranking or what. It has to be. It absolutely has to be because they had a ton of decommitments there. But we're ahead of them now. So there's that. But they still could potentially be a team that could win some games there. But outside of those, I mean, who in the ACC? Okay, SMU, I guess. Okay, we'll give them that. And those games too. SMU, not SMU. Well, SMU's been out of it. Sorry. Penn State versus Boise State. I mean, that went about the way that I thought it would. I thought Boise State would hang tough. They hung tough for a while, but they weren't able to get the job done. Ashton Jeanty ran for about as many yards as I said he would. Well, just a little bit over 100. He had like 105 yards, I think, which is not bad against Penn State's defensive front, but way under his normal average and way under what makes Boise State successful. And then you had Texas and Arizona State. That was a whale of a ball game there. And I like Arizona State. I like that story too. See what happened there. They kind of got hosed a little bit at the end too, but Texas ends up winning that ball game. When yours comes through in the clutch. The cop sitting right there. Ain't doing nothing wrong. The only thing I don't like about Arizona State, their coach, I don't know, fiery young coach. He was pissed off after the game against Cincinnati. They blew a few field goals. And he got out here in his press conference and told everybody they were doing an open kicker tryout to hit me up if you're if you play soccer or some shit like that. In the press conference, which I thought was really fucking just piss poor. I really did. You know how you need to handle that. You go handle that with that kid one-on-one. Handle it with them one-on-one. Say, look, bad game. We can't be losing games like this, though. I'm going to have to do some tryouts. I'm going to have to find some competition for you, and if they're good enough, they may end up taking your spot, man. And that's just the way it is. I mean, I know you've worked hard, but we can't miss kicks. We can't miss kicks in those kind of situations. Not blasted all over television in front of God and everybody. That's just wrong. That's just wrong. Everybody saw that the kid fucked up. The kid knows he fucked up. You don't have to double down on the kid fucking up. That's just wrong. I don't like that. So I didn't like that guy. But that, emotional game, he may have been emotional in that press conference, and he spoke without thinking. So I'll let that one go. As long as I don't see him do any more crap like this, I don't have any beef with him. But when he does again, then there's going to be a problem. So you just remember that. Dilly. Anyway, I think that's about all I've got on those games. Gamecocks going into 2025. I'll be talking a lot about that in the upcoming months on the channel. I'm really, well, I guess scared is the best way to put it. I'm really scared about this defense. I don't know what we're going to see from them. This offense is going to put some points up on the board. I see South Carolina averaging, they're going to average 30-plus points a game. 40-plus points a game. No, I don't see that. Not when your offense is predicated around the run. But 30 points plus per game, I think, is definitely not unreachable for South Carolina by any stretch. That's what it's going to take for you to win ball games, because this defense they're losing a lot. I mean, a ton off this defense. It's getting ravaged, which is, I mean, a lot of these guys are going to be in the NFL. I ain't saying they are going to be first rounders. They might not all be starting on Sundays next year, but make no mistake about it, these guys are going to have a future. You've got a lot of good players there that you're going to be losing, and it's going to hurt, because I don't know that we have the bench talent that's going to move up to replace them, that's going to be as effective. And we've recruited well. I don't know that we could have recruited well enough. And the transfer portal class so far has been kind of underwhelming. I'm not ready to drop the baby and go cheer for another team, but it's not been what I thought it would. I thought that after the success that we had this year, the transfer portal would be, I thought there would be teeming with people. Teeming. That's an interesting verb for a Carolina jackpot to use in a video. Teeming with individuals wanting to come to South Carolina and play for Coach Saban. I mean, there may still be. You can still get guys out of the portal. There's just only a few more days that they can actually jump into the portal. God knows there's plenty of players in there. They just got to mine it. I mean, it's like sifting. It's like panning for gold, really. Panning for gold. Find them, identify them, find out who's had a relationship with a particular individual. I saw that South Carolina actually offered a 2026 prospect that's committed to Florida State, a kid from California. I can't remember what his name is off the top of my head. I just read about it. But this kid has thrown for, in 3 years, like 149 touchdowns, I want to say. Jesus. Last year, maybe it wasn't quite that many. It was 100, and it was well up over 100. We'll say that. And last year, of this past season we just finished, 2024, 49 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Holy shit. Yeah, buddy. I like the sound of that. Anyway, guys, that's about all I got to say about that. South Carolina's played a basketball game today against Mississippi State. South Carolina is currently 10-3. Mississippi State's 12-1. We're on the road in the Humphrey Coliseum in Stark Vegas. South Carolina's a 10-point underdog, I think, in that game. I don't know which way to go with that. South Carolina's had, to me, some unimpressive showings against mid-major, I guess we'd call them, teams, such as Presbyterian, USC Upstate. They lost in North Florida early in the season, well, the first game of the season. So I don't quite know what to make of them just yet. I think they have the ability to be good. I think they're not going to have the success they did last season. If they ended up making a run to the tournament, I would be very, very surprised. It looks like an NIT team to me. But these people that do this SEC Unfiltered show, led by former Gamecock Spurs Up man Chris Phillips, they're doing a thing every week, ranking the power rankings of the SEC basketball teams, and they keep putting South Carolina at 16. I'm like, fucking why? I mean, they're 10-3, and I mean, you're supposed to have a good record coming out of non-conference play, but South Carolina's has had, like I said, some struggles against some not real good teams. But let's not forget, Clemson was a ranked team. I don't think they're ranked anymore, but as a ranked team, South Carolina beat them. So we have that. We have that win. That's the best win we've had all year. But shoehorning them into the 16th spot for no particular reason at all, this lets me know these guys don't, they know a lot more about football than they do about hoops. Let's just say that. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that one. I will see you guys later on. Appreciate it. Peace. And I'm out of here. Go Gamecocks. Spurs up, my toes up. I don't know when I'll see you next. I'll see you tomorrow night. We got a live show, Rob and Kel show, to go over the bowl games and this and that. So you guys take care, and I'll see you later.